Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy BULLBOYKENNELS. Got a little two-part video here for you. This one is part pickup and part movie review. Timestamps will be in the video, so you can just skip to whatever you want. Anyways, let's get into the pickup part first, because that's really the important part, right? So let's go ahead and get into that. So this is a movie I had looked for a while. And, you know, no matter where you kind of look, they're always just overpriced. So it's just a matter of continually searching. And I've searched for quite a few times for this. But I was able to get it at a decent price. Still a little over, you know, it's retail, but nothing crazy or extravagant like some of these other prices I'd be seeing out here, which is just retardo. Anyways, that is none other than Second Sight's Chunky Box, you know, because I like my Second Sight stuff. And that is Babadook, the book of Babadook. So yes, finally was able to find this at a decent price, you know, something worth picking up. Includes everything. J card, of course. Has all the information on the back side. So guess we just you know, look at it real quick. Let me just pop everything out of this. Of course, some of this stuff I have not opened. So I am sure that with the way this is kind of wrapped up, it was like the little picture cards that it comes with. So, you know, it does have that. It's never been open, so I'm not going to bother messing with it. But, you know, again, it does include it. Of course, it does have, you know, their nice little book with the Babadook on the front. Then, of course, you know, a little writing on the back of it, which is pretty cool. I guess this has never been open, so I guess it has like information, like pictures, like behind the scenes stuff, which is pretty cool. Definitely pretty cool. So let me try to open this up a bit. Try to do it without not really trying to mess up the images, because like I said, this has never been opened either, so it doesn't have any creases or anything in there. But yeah, it has a lot of you know, a lot of stuff. Well, that's a really cool image. That's kind of like what was in the drawings of the Babadook. I know I'm not opening it very well for you, but kind of give you an idea. So definitely, you know, nice book. Pages are a little thin, but the book itself, you know, it definitely has some little girthiness there. And then of course the movie itself, Babadookie on the front, and then the little artwork on the back side of it. So it's really cool. I want to say, I don't remember if I tested this one or not. Yeah, I don't remember if I tried the Blu-ray on my Region A player. I think I did, but I can't quite remember. But either way, it does include the Blu-ray and the 4K disc of the movie. This movie looked really good. I watched the 4K disc of it. Looked really, really good. So, you know, there is that. So yeah, that was like I said, the Babadook, movie. So like I said, I did get this one used. So was it used? Yeah, yeah, it was. Now, there is a small nick right here in the back of the spine of the book. Very small, but it is there nonetheless. So, could be part of the reason why the price was right, if you know what I mean. But I'm okay with that. As long as I can save money, that is definitely a awesome thing to do. So yeah, that is the Babadook. Yeah, I know this is a pain to get. I know a lot of people be trying to definitely find this version from Second Sight because you can buy the movie itself from them, but I didn't want that. I wanted the chunkiness. Anyways, that was the pickup. So let's just go ahead and jump into the review portion. Of course, again, the Babadook. So I'm gonna say this: the way this movie starts out, it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow. If you watch the trailer to this, you would think it was action packed, like the way they be showing the trailer. Yeah, it's not. It's not an action packed movie. It gets better as the movie goes on, but it starts off pretty slow. It's a slow movie, and I will say, as far as like the story and everything, you got the mother with her son. Basically, the whole premise of the movie is, when I guess he was being born, the father was on the way to the hospital, got killed, so that's how he dies. So the mother has like a resentment towards the son, and you kind of see that as the movie goes on. Now, I will say I don't know if it was just the acting, or if it's actually the actor themselves. But I will say the son, oh my God, that kid was annoying. I mean, he was getting on my nerves. I was like, boy, you ever, who was it, Bernie Mac? I want to say it was Bernie Mac. When Bernie Mac would say, I would fuck a kid up. Yeah, that's kind of how you would kind of feel about this kid. Because he was just that annoying. Now, throughout the beginning of the movie, the kid starts, like making weapons and stuff. And he's taking like weapons to school. Not like crazy weapons, but he was like making like homemade stuff or like a dart gun he made. I want to say that's where he originally took to school the first time. And his mother had to go there and get him. And, so they were like, yeah, we're going to separate him from the kids. You need to get a little, kind of like special attention, pretty much. So the mother isn't too happy about that. She's like, no, he's just misunderstood, and so on and so on. Now, throughout the nighttime, the mother keeps reading the son, books and stuff and stories for him to go to sleep because he wants to keep sleeping in her room. So, they eventually come across the book of the Babadook. I want to say the son gave it to her. He ended up getting it somehow. Don't remember how he got the book. But I want to say he was the one that ended up getting the book, had the mother read it. And that's kind of where things, get a little started. Now, he does have I think it's his cousin, to kind of almost celebrate their birthdays at the same time, even though his birthday is a different time. So, at one part, he's over at his aunt's house with his cousin. They're in a little tree house. They're talking, whatever, arguing. And the cousin, was talking about his dad, being dead or whatever. He ain't take that too kindly. So he gave her a little shove out the doorway. Like, okay, well, you're asking, go ahead and get the stepping. Yeah, so he basically just, pushed her right out the entrance of that doorway and boom, on the ground she goes out the treehouse. And that was pretty funny there. Now there were certain parts. Now this is kind of when the mother was reading the book, where it says like once you see him, like, well, don't let him in, but once you see him, like you can't get him out or whatever. And it was pretty funny because she was taking it as like, what kind of storybook is this? This shit is like creepy as hell. And she didn't want to keep reading it, but she did. And then you have the son, who's the annoying one, because you would think the mother was the more, reasonable bunch in the party, which, at the beginning she was. And the son was just, like I said, constantly annoying. Like, trust me, he's that type of kid you don't want to have around you. He's that annoying. But anyways, as the story builds up between them, and and things start happening where, they're seeing Babadookie. The son kind of like sees him, but the son doesn't let him in. And he's telling the mother, not to let him in as well. But when the mother sees him, well, her dumb ass lets him in. So it's almost kind of like a possession. You can kind of consider it that. She's kind of like being possessed by him. And, when she's having these dreams, she's seeing like the book and like images in the book where, she's killing like the dog, like twisting his head or whatever. She has one part where she has this knife and just kind of like slicing like this. And then you see kind of like the neck gets sliced and the blood just get to coming out. So like, and this is all in her dreams and shit. And it's pretty, that part is pretty wild, but in a funny way. But as it goes on, the mother starts to get real nasty. You know what I mean? Like, she starts like really yelling at her son, saying some like mean, crazy shit to him. And then, it's kind of almost like her and the son kind of like flip roles. He becomes a little bit more, settled down in the head. But the mother, she's going off the deep end. Like, she's just having these crazy moments. And she keeps taking it out on the son. Now, they do have the neighbor, which is this old lady. Real cool old lady. She was trying, she'd been trying to help him out. And at parts where the mother's telling the son, yeah, I don't want you bothering her. She's an old lady. She's sick. Blah, blah, blah. Leave her alone. But then even at one point, that old lady comes to their door to come and check on them because, some wild shit been going on in the crib. So basically the mother's just trying to kill the son. That's where she's trying to get to with it. But before she does that, she does kill her dog. So they do have the little white dog, little cute little doggy dog. She does kill the dog. I don't remember if she broke his neck or something, but I know she took him into the kitchen and just, did the dog up, did him dirty. That, and then she ends up going upstairs. And I want to say she was in her bedroom, and then the son came in to check on her, and she goes ballistic. At this point now, she's chasing the son around, trying to go kill him, and he's trying to run from her. But, he runs, he gets into his little room. And this was actually kind of funny because she's sitting there trying to bang on the door again in the room, and she can't get in, but then she ends up jumping on top of the top ledge of the door frame, and then she starts like kind of like bouncing on it, almost like a monkey swinging, bam, bam. And then she finally gets in the room. Well, remember earlier in the movie, the boy was making these little weapons with the dart gun and stuff. Yeah, well, that boy got some good aim because he hit her dead in the shoulder. Bam! He got her real good. Now, if y'all ever watch Home Alone, you ever watch Home Alone when the boy, Macaulay was doing all his little traps and stuff? Yeah, we had some shit set up for the mom. So he had another contraption he made that kind of like throws a ball. He pulls a string, almost like Data. from the Goonies. He pulls a little string. And that ball swings, whap, just cracks her upside the head. Oh, the shit was hilarious. So he ends up escaping from the room, runs down into the basement, and she comes chasing down after him. And as she's coming down the steps, you see him pull this rope across the bottom of her legs, and she does like this forward flip. Boom, but she catches the front wall, like right before the middle of the stairs. So I guess that would be the top stairwell that's upstairs. Yeah, she catches that full frontal forehead. Bam! She gets smacked like crazy. Ends up falling down. Well, the son ties her up. He's trying to help his mom out. But, she's over there in that crazy demented mode that she's in. She's been haunted by this Babadook that had kept appearing and stuff, coming out of the darkness and, doing his little crazy shit with his long ass finger swords, whatever the hell he got going on. While she was having all these like crazy ass dreams. So, he has her all tied up. But he ends up helping her though. But, because she's going all crazy, he stabs her in the leg, trying to help her. But then, eventually she gets to a point where it's almost kind of like she's reasoning with them. But she also kind of gets loose from the ropes. And, the son's like, you gotta get rid of him. You gotta get rid of him. And, so she ends up basically just throwing up black puke, just blah, all over the place, just blah. And you almost think she got it out of her system, because then you see Babadook come back out of the darkness, and she's kind of like, no, get out of here. Basically trying to like save her son at this point. But the weird shit is, if you puked it out, but yet they said once you let him in, you can't get him gone. Well, it's kind of true because he really wasn't gone because the mother was so fixated on the husband being dead. And that's kind of like how the Babadook appears to her. It's like her dead husband. So when we get to the end of the movie, everything looks normal and shit. But no, this chick's going back down in the basement, going to feed this Babadookie like everything is good. So it seems like everything is normal. And she's normal, but she's not. She ain't never let him out. So I don't know where the hell he went. Because if you puked all that black shit out, where that got them all out your system? Well, apparently not, because that motherfucker was still around. So the way it ended was a little weird because of that. But the movie itself was great. Like it was a great movie. I see why people really like this film. So if you've never seen it, definitely watch this one. It was definitely a good movie. But like I said, it does have that slow pace at the beginning. I forget for how long it was, but it was definitely a slow ass pace. Like it was a long build up to, when we finally get to the Babadookie part. But other than that, shit was fantastic. How they lit the movie was great. Like I love the look of it, lighting wise, stylistic wise. It was great. Like it had a perfect atmosphere for what this movie was shooting for. Dialogue was good, definitely clean audio. So it wasn't like, oh, I can't hear what they're saying. Like the audio was really good. Sound effects were great. But especially the look of the movie, fantastic. So yeah. I highly recommend, whether you stream this, you just get the regular, 4K release of it, or if you can find a chunky, if you can find the chunky box, definitely, give this one a peep, because this was good. I really, really enjoyed the Babadook. So hopefully you enjoy it as well. I know this is an older film, but man, like I never really like heard about this. I mean, and I do watch a lot of horror movies, but you know, no matter how much horror shit you watch, you're never gonna know about every single movie. Especially if you're not like looking for new releases and stuff. I know for a long time, you know, most of the stuff I would watch horror wise was always like more of the mainstream horror. Stuff that was always more popular. That's the shit that I would watch. But yeah, glad I found out about Babadook. Babadook, you was good, Babadook. Like I enjoy Babadook. Like, what? What? Babadook. Babadook. Yeah, definitely check this film out. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it. So yeah, that's my review of Babadook. We'll have some more pickups, some other reviews of some other movies. I didn't want this review to be so in-depth, like maybe some others. You know, I want to leave some stuff to your own intrigue. So yeah, there's that. But anyways, if you enjoyed the review, you enjoyed the video, make sure to thumb up the video, hit that little comment section. Let me know what your thoughts or what you think about it. And other than that, if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for, because, you know, I'm always doing some type of video for something. So you never know. If it ain't this video, it's another one you're going to enjoy. Other than that, hey, it's been your boy, BULLBOYKENNELS. And as always, keep them scratching. Peace. We up out of here.